3 Lives 3 Worlds, 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. By Tangqi Gongzi. Translated by Hamster 428. Chapter 22. I said I would come back to visit Yehua, but I couldn't leave once I got back to Kunlun. At last Moiwan has chosen the date to start his meditation, which will be 7 days from now. On the morning of September 2nd, I take the medicinal pills to Moiwan so he can take them with him. His expression seems somewhat tired before entering the cave. Without saying anything to my seniors, he asks me one question: "Does Yehua treat you well?" I give him the honest answer. He nods his head and goes in. After Moiwan goes into meditation, the immortals no longer come by to greet him. 15 of my seniors take turn to go back home, leaving behind their attendants to help 9th senior. I also follow Jian and 4th brother and descend down the mountain. After reaching the bottom, I ran straight to the mortal realm. Yehua should be 18 or 19 years old by now. With a bursting heart, I softly land in front of the Liu family's courtyard. However, I can't find Yehua anywhere after scrutinizing every square inch of the Liu estate. I disappointedly leave the Lius. After thinking for some time, I come back and inquire the servant from his family. He says Yehua has passed his civil exam some years ago and is now working under the mortal emperor. The little servant of the Liu estate raises his head high and says, "Our young master is a one-of-a-kind prodigy. He came into the Imperial University at 11. 5 years ago when the emperor held an examination, he participated out of whims and took home Zhuang Yuan, exemplar of the state, i.e. first rank. After entering Hanlin Academy, he is now the state chancellor. What a remarkable talent! I have no interest in Yehua's political career. I'm just happy to find out where he's living. I come by the backyard of the Chancellor estate to look for Yehua. When I finally see him, he is in his daily robe, gazing at flowers with a woman in white garments. Above the spot where he sits are crimson peach blossoms. The white-robed woman seems to have said something to him. He lifts his wine cup and turns to her to smile. She shyly lowers her head. His smile is warm and kind. But it's absolutely irritating in my eyes. It's only been 6 days. How dare he forget about his promise to me and start another romance behind my back? As I itch to near them in my jealousy, a voice calls out from behind me, "It's been a while since I last saw you." "Greetings from Sujin, your ladyship." I freeze and turn around. My invisible spell is only effective on mortals. It cannot deceive other fairies. Sujin in simple plain garment is a strange sight to my eyes. "Why are you here?" She watches me closely, her eyes squinted. His Highness reincarnation is all by himself in the mortal realm. I worry he might get lonely, so I especially found the person he always thinks about to serve him. I was invited to the West Empress tea party today. I'm stopping by on my way to see if she is doing her job or not. Bemused, I turn to look at the white-robed woman next to Yehua. I wasn't paying attention a moment ago, but now that I look again, she really is a puppet in the form of a human. I flap my fan and answer indifferently, "How considerate of you." She looks at me with earnest eyes. "You do know from whose appearance I created this puppet from?" I tilt my head to observe carefully, but can't pick out what special features the white-robed female possesses. Her eyes become vague as she says, "Have your ladyship heard of the name Susu?" My heart throbs. This little Sujin certainly has improved recently. She can injure me right the moment we meet. How can I not know of the little doe's mother who threw herself down Zuxian Tai, the former wife whom Yehua has once loved? But ever since I knew of my own feelings for Yehua, I carefully wrapped everything related to the doe's mother and threw it into a chest, locking it 3 times over while vowing never to open it up again. I'm not Yehua's first love, and I regret this fact immensely. But fate has already arranged it so, I have no reason to be angry. I can only sigh and lament my rocky romance. Sujin takes in my expression as she says, "Don't pay too much attention to her. His Highness is only a mortal at the moment. He can't know that the person in front of him is merely a puppet. Look at it as realizing his dream for him. When he returns to his original self, with his personality, he won't take another glance at her even if her outer appearance is like Susu's." Is she trying to say in Yehua's eyes right now, there is only the image of this puppet? I laugh in reply, "Aren't you afraid that when Yehua comes back to heaven, he'll punish you for deceiving him?" Her expression freezes as she grudgingly says, "All I did was create a puppet and place her outside of his home. If he didn't like her, he would have gone on and ignored her. But he took one look and brought her into his home. If he wants to punish me later on, then I've nothing to say." My chest pricks and I go on flapping my fan. She continues to smile kindly, "When you love someone so much, not even death can erase all traces of your memory. Turn around and you've come right back to that same person. Right?" She pauses, then continues slowly, "Did you know that His Highness has used the piecing soul lantern these 300 years to collect Susu's soul?" A pounding sound goes off in my head. I loses all sense of direction as my heart throbs in bouts. Yehua, he still wants to search for Susu? 6 days ago when I sat by Yehua's bed, I asked him if he knew who I was. He said he didn't. 6 days later he brought home an unrecognizable stranger on the street. He really doesn't love me as deeply as he loved Susu, no wonder he couldn't remember me. The word perhaps keeps chiming out. The chest that was locked 3 times over now cracks open. Is it because my covered eyes resemble his old wife's? Is that why he came to like me? I can't think straight anymore, my mind is as white as a porridge pot. Even though my head was blanking out, I'm impressed with myself that I can still keep up with my dignified manner. Your understanding on this romance stuff is quite thorough, to be able to stand Yehua's coldness and sit on his concubine's seat for these 200 years. Out of all the young juniors I've met, you've got the best perception. You did a good job with the puppet. With her by Yehua's side, I'll save myself a lot of effort. If Yehua wants to punish you after he comes back, I'll put in a few good words for you." Her smile instantly freezes on her face. At length she lifts the corner of her mouth to say, "Thank you, your ladyship." I wave my hand and tell her, it's not good to be late to the West Empress tea party. She slightly curtsies with a bow, "I'll take my leave first." After Sujin leaves, I turn around and watch the replica pour wine for Yehua. Peach blossom petals follow the breeze and fall onto Yehua's hair. The replica reaches her snow-white hand out, gently brushing the petals away. She looks up and smiles shyly at Yehua. He doesn't say anything and takes another sip. My head starts to ache again. Fourth brother always tells me I never think when I act. According to him, fortunately our parents cleaned up most of the trouble I created, but in truth I've given much shame to our white fox lineage. I actually think he's caused many more times the shame than I have. But then again he's also much older, it's not fair to compare. Now that I think about it, there are reasons behind his words. It's true that I rarely think before I act. Like when Yehoah first confessed to me. I believed him right away without once wondering why he picked me out of all the girls in the world. If it turns out he loves me because I resemble the little doe's mother, then how different am I from that puppet who's pouring wine for him? I know it's petty to compare with a dead person, but when one's in love, there's no such thing as keeping face and dignity. In the late evening, I bring out the piecing soul lantern and examine it under the light of the night pearl. It used to be placed on the West Sea Prince's bed. Jian brought it back to King Kaiyu after Moi Wan woke up. Yehoah didn't ask about it when we went to Jukongtian, so I forgot I still haven't returned it to him. The night pearl shines a gentle light. The wick within the piecing soul lantern is only as large as a pea. Who knew such a surprising light contains the soul of a mortal for these 300 years? My head is getting heavier by the second. I know not all of Sujin's words can be trusted. But I've heard Naina's words as well. It was certain that Yehoah's love for the doe's mother is as deep as the sea. That love didn't obliterate even after 300 years. For such a faithful person, how could he all of a sudden change his affection as soon as we met? The more I think, the more my courage burns away. My heart twinges with pain. I love Yehoah for who he is. He looks like my teacher, but I've never thought of them to be the same. If I had treated him as a replacement for Moi Wan, I would have treated him with utmost respect reserved for a teacher. Since I was sincere toward him, I naturally hoped he could be the same toward me. If he only courted me because I looked like the doe's mother, because he couldn't forget the doe's mother, then I can't accept this relationship of ours. Miko lingers outside and quietly asks, "Lady, do you want some wine brought here?" I agree silently. I drink until one piecing soul lantern turns into 10. That's when I know I've drank enough and get up to head to bed. But I just can't fall asleep. Something in front of me keeps flickering. I sit up and blink my eyes to realize that it's the lantern. I try to blow it from 8 feet over, but the damn thing won't die. Irritated, I throw a spell toward its direction and instantly it shatters into pieces. Finally, the damn flame dies. Everything in the room spins and I fall back to my bed. I stay in slumber for 2 days, and remember many things during that time. 500 years ago when Jing Shan escaped from the Donghuang Bell, I had to seal him back. I didn't sleep soundly in the fox cave for 200 years like my parents had said. I was put under a spell by Jing Shang and stayed on Mt. Junji in Donghuang. That human called Susu, the doe's mother, the one who threw herself down Zuxian Tai, was no other than myself when I was powerless and ignorant. I have always been suspicious of my easy ascension to high divinity. How could I have fought with Jing Shang, take a short 200 years nap, then become a high deity the moment I woke up? I finally understand why there were times in King Kaiyu when Yehoah seemed like he wanted to say something to me, but never spoke it out. Or that night in the mortal realm when I dreamingly heard, "A part of me wants you to remember but another part of me hopes you'll never recall that past." Everything makes sense now. Yehua felt guilty because he wronged me back then. But I'm afraid he won't ever understand why I named the little Doli, to separate. And he'll never understand why I had to jump down Zuxiantai. The past comes rushing back. Those 3 years still hurt like it happened yesterday. Honor? Reason? He couldn't help it because he was protecting a mortal like me? I don't want to know, and have no energy left to care. When I wake up in the middle of the dream, the one thing I remember is how lonely I spent each night at Yilan Fang Hua, yet my heart was still full of hope. Those 3 years live on like a wound that's still festering in my heart. I don't think I can marry Yehua in October with these feelings I have. I know I still love him. He made me lose my mind 300 years ago and he makes me lose it again 300 years later. I can't control my love for him, but whenever I remember the things that happened in the past, it feels like there's a nail stuck inside my heart. I can't bear this nail, and I can't forgive him. When I was in my reincarnated form, Sujin stole my eyes from me. My trial is long over. I don't think it's right to let her continue using my eyes, she won't be comfortable with them either. Violence is better than peace. I summon the Kunlun fan and fix myself in front of the mirror. My facial expression is kind of bad. To avoid embarrassing King Kaiu, I go over my lips once with some lip color. With a radiant face, I fly to Zhukongtian, passing through the guards at Nantian Gate, and head straight for Zhonghua Estate where Sujin stays inside Saho Palace. The admirable one sure knows how to enjoy life, she's leaning back on her chaise resting at this moment. I appear and walk straight into the building. The tea maid cries out in fright. The admirable one opens her eyes and freezes up when she sees me. Although she says your arrival has frightened me, her movement getting out of the chaise is as calm as can be. Sure, she's frightened. I sit down next to her. She hesitates, then puts on a bright smile. You're probably here to ask after His Highness. She pauses, then continues to smile brightly, that Susu from the mortal world has been taking good care of him. Her smile gives twinkles to her eyes. I tap the fan on my hand and puts on a nonchalant face. Of course that's the best thing to do. I haven't had to worry about Yehua because you've been taking care of everything. I came here today to check in on you. She looks at me skeptically. I smile at her prettily. Sujin, you've used those eyes of mine for 300 years. How do you like them? She forces her head up. She first blushes red, then drains white. What did you just say? I spread my fan and say, I went through a love trial 300 years ago and lost my eyes to you. I came today to ask for them back. Think, should you do it or should I do it? She steps back and grips tightly onto the chair behind her. She shakes in disbelief. Why, you're Susu. I lose all patience. Who will it be? Do you want to do it or will I do it? Her eyes lose all their shine. She wants to say something, but she can't get the words out. After a long while she finally says, that woman was clearly immortal. How can you be her? She was immortal. I arch my brow. So what if she was immortal? And what if she was an immortal? Just because I was a human 300 years ago means you could steal my eyes and make me jump down Zuxiantai. Her legs give in and she slowly slides down. She never completes what she wants to say. I step forward and caress her eyes. I caught good news recently and I've been doing some drinking. So you see, my hands will be trembling a bit. It'll hurt more than if you were to do it yourself. Do forgive me. I still haven't acted when she shrieks a deafening scream. At the same time I release a barrier around Zhonghua estate, making sure no one can come in even after hearing her scream. Her eyes whirl around as she grabs my hands. You can't, you can't. I amusedly pat her cheek. You always liked to appear helpless 300 years ago. Always so feeble every time I saw you. Why don't you let me see for once how you are not being that way? When Yehua took my eyes away, he said one must pay what one owes. But you and I both know how your eyes became that way. Tell me, for what reason can't I claim my eyes back? You can't think that my eyes have become yours just because they stayed in your sockets for 300 years. She shrieks painfully. I lower to her ear and say, that incident from 300 years ago, because old Tianjun did everything so quietly then, I too will do everything quietly today. You owed me 2 things from the past. I've taken back my eyes. As for the Zuxian Tai incident, either you can learn from me and jump down, or go to Tianjun and tell him you want to go to Ruoshui to watch over the imprisoned Jingshang, never to return to heaven again. She freezes. I've gone through this same pain. It must not be very different from what I felt then. She struggles to breathe, forcing out these words, I, absolutely, won't. There it is. She finally stops pretending to be weak. She finally shows her strength. I lift her bloody face and smirk, really? Then you want me to go tell Tianjun myself? But you know how people change. They say one thing now and something else the next moment. If I go to Tianjun, I'm not sure if my words will still be the same ones I spoke to you. Her body becomes rigid. All the pain winds around in one spot. I chant Buddha's teaching in my mind, you reap what you sow. Bafang ran away again, and 4th brother is looking for him, again. There's only Jian left at Shili Tao Hua. When I show him the bloody pair of eyes within my palm, he studies them in the sunlight for a long time and says, how rare it is to find something you lost for 300 years. Then he continues, remembering such a painful time after taking my potion is pretty rare as well. Jian says he'll need some time to get rid of the murky energy in these eyes. When all has been eliminated, he'll change my eyes for me. I tell Migu to watch the crown prince's concubines every step as well as the entrance to King Kaihu. In the next few days I don't want to see anyone. I get so drunk I don't know anything anymore. But before I became too drunk, I think I heard Migu came to chat with me. He says a lot, mostly trifling things. There are 2 I remember the most. The first is about the crown prince's concubine on Zhukongtian. For some reason she submitted a request to Tianjun asking to leave the Heaven clan and come down to Ruoshui to watch the Donghuang bell. Tianjun agreed immediately, touched by her goodwill. The second story is about the crown prince Yehua. After reincarnating, he somehow believed in deities and poured all his effort into finding a fairy from King Kaihu. Although he advanced all the way to the prime minister position, he kept on refusing to get married. At 27, he passed away after falling ill in sorrow. His will to his family is to cremate his body along with a jade bracelet. I'm not sure if I cried when Migu told me this story. If I did, then because of what? I drank a lot, and my head spins round, that I don't really know either. I don't know how many days have passed when Migu hastily enters the fox cave. He tells me Crown Prince Yehua from Zhukongtian has been standing outside King Kaihu's entrance for 7 days, waiting to see me. Migu says he obeyed my order and didn't let anyone in, even if it's Yehua. But it's been 7 days and Yehua shows no sign of wanting to leave. He doesn't know what to do, so he came back for my decision. Right, Yehua died at age 27 on the mortal realm. It's time for him to be back. I don't know why, but my heart starts to pang in bouts. My chest becomes heavy as my feet become light. I look toward the door. I want to see Yehua. I just want to ask him. Did he marry a mortal 300 years ago because Sujin betrayed him and married Tianjun? Did he really love me? Did he ignore me for 3 years in heaven for my own good? When he was in love with me, was he still in love with Sujin? If yes, then how deep was it? If I didn't jump down Zuxiantai, would he have married Sujin on his own volition? Are his feelings for me now caused by his guilt of 300 years ago? The more I think, the harder it is to continue. I cover my eyes, tears flow through my fingers. What will he say? How will he answer to all these things? I can't even tell if I'll try to kill him. Migu stands beside me in worry. Lady, will you see him or not? I take a deep breath and tell him, no. Tell him not to come here anymore. I'll go to Tianjun tomorrow and break off the engagement. Migu returns much later. After staying in silence for a long time, he says, His Highness looks so miserable. He's stood by the entrance for 7 days already, never leaving once. I give him a quick glance, then take a gulp of wine without saying a thing. He hesitates, then says, His Highness the Crown Prince asked me to pass a few words to you. He wants to ask one thing. You once said if he flirts with other women in the mortal realm, you'd abduct him back to King Kaiu and imprison him here. When he stayed in the mortal realm, except for taking in an ordinary mortal to take care of his sick mother, he's never once teased a girl. You've promised him, so why aren't you keeping tabs now? I throw a wine bottle outside and scream, I don't care. I don't care anymore. Tell him to leave. I don't want to see him ever again. On the 2nd day I still haven't gone to Zhukongtian to break the engagement off. Time keeps stretching on. I want to wait until I feel better. It might be difficult to reach that state in such a short time though. The 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day, Migu says Yehua still stands outside the valley's entrance without stepping away once. I stop drinking. Ever since I found out Yehua is standing outside of King Kaiu, drinking only clears my mind. The more my mind clears, the more I ache. The more I ache, the less I sleep. Rain patters on the rooftop all night, frustrating my mind further. When I wake up in the morning, I sense a large change to the energy barricade used 500 years ago to seal Jingshang inside the Donghuang bell. I immediately wash my face and tell Migu to run to Shi Li Tao Hua to let Jian know, and for him to come give me a hand. 500 years ago, when Jingshang almost broke the seal out of the Donghuang bell, I had to put in all my effort to marginally seal him back up. But that fight had caused much damage to the bell. I had to use half of my life energy to repair it. With what's left in me, doesn't matter if I'm bold or smart, I know myself there's no way I can beat him. But Jing Shang isn't a kind-hearted person. He'll most definitely destroy the world when he escapes. Thinking about this, all my heart troubles go away. I summon the Kunlun fan in a cloud, then hurriedly fly over to Ruo Shui. I can only hope I can keep Jing Shang within the Donghuang Bell until Jian comes. I knew I'd have to see Yehua at the valley entrance. He's been waiting there for me, so I'll surely run into him if I leave. I close my eyes tightly and walk by him. He reaches out and pulls my hand back. His face is ghastly white, tired, and gaunt. The other thing is more important than staying here to have a fight with him. I turn and cut loose the sleeve he's holding onto with my fan. Bemusedly, his throat releases two hoarse sounds, "Chien chien." I care not to respond. I turn around and head straight for Ruo Shui. With a quick glance, I can see him also following behind on a cloud. I'd come to think about this moment many years later. In truth, I'm afraid I won't know what to say to him. I'm afraid I won't be able to say a thing, so I only give him a cold look. I can't even utter half a line. Ruo Shui is covered in fog, sky-high waves crashing down. Dark clouds hang across the heavens. The towering pagoda encasing the Donghuang Bell by the shore is shaking fiercely, making quaking sounds. The person who's supposed to be watching the Donghuang Bell right now, Sujin, is nowhere in sight. She's probably cowering in fear, hiding somewhere. From the clumps of clouds in the mid-air appears the image of Ruo Shui's local deity. I've met him once 500 years ago. He looks down on the swaying pagoda in worry, then turns around to meet us and says, "You've finally arrived." Ruo Shui Shenjun has gone to heaven and asked for backup. Jing Shang's anger isn't like it is usually. Our Lord's mansion under the river has felt the impact a few times. My home is also. Suddenly a large white light spreads around the bell, within the light is a figure of someone. It unnerves me. As I'm about to fly down quickly, my body is suddenly held back. As fast as lightning, Yehua locks my hands and feet with a spell from behind. Seeing Jing Shang almost out of the bell, I hastily say, "Let me go." He doesn't even care to reply, giving me to the local deity of Ruo Shui. He softly tells him, "Take care of her for me. No matter what, don't let her fall from here." He holds his left hand out and a gleaming sword immediately appears. I watch him hold the sword and descend lower on his cloud. He heads straight for the white light shining from the Donghuang Bell. It feels like the sky is falling down on me. I intake quick breaths, unable to say a thing. The cold wind brushes chillingly across my eyes. At the moment Yehua flies into the white light is when I hear my own desperation, "Let me go. You have to do something." Yehua's trying to kill himself. With the little energy left in his body, he's clearly seeking death. The local deity mumbles some nonsense back at me. Something like it's a special spell and he can't unlock it. I uselessly struggle. My tear-stained eyes watch the vague silver light around the Donghuang Bell slowly disappear. The thundering sounds of the fight between Yehua and Jing Shang spread across the space. The local deity creates a small barrier to cover the two of us. What a difficult spell Yehua has used to lock me. I'm raining sweats and still can only move a little. Within the dark surroundings, the local deity whispers in my ear, lady, it's still dangerous to be here. I'm not sure how long my barrier can hold up. Let's move further away. I hazily tell him, go ahead. I want to stay here with Yehua. I'm only a handicapped at this point with no use at all to Yehua. Even so, I still want to be where he is, to see him. I've never seen Yehua using the sword before. I heard he's a formidable swordsman. The sword he uses is called the Qingming, clear light. The light emitting from it blinds my eyes in burning tears. They continue to fight, each on par with the other. I try my best to watch but cannot determine who has the upper hand. I only hope he can hang on until Jian arrives, or at least until his grandfather sends more backup. The wind picks up on the shore of Ruo Shui, sending dust and stones flying all over. All of a sudden I hear Jing Shang laughs 3 times, then coughs and slowly says, "How unlucky to lose to you today. If it wasn't because of my injury from 500 years ago, I wouldn't lose to such a young brat like you." The dusty whirl slowly disperses. Yehua kneels on one knee, supporting himself with his word. "You still lose." I can finally wiggle free. I tremble as I tell the local deity, "Everything's okay now. Let me down to the ground." When the local deity clumsily unfastens me, the Donghuang bell suddenly releases a bloody red light. My mind suddenly stills. Hasn't Jing Sheng lost? Why is the bell still making sounds? Yehua also immediately jerks his head up. Lowering his voice, he says, "What did you do to that bell?" Jing Sheng lies on the ground, his breath faint as he mutters, "How did you know I could make the bell sound without touching it?" "Haha, I only used 70,000 years to link my life to it. If I die, the bell will ring on its own. When I die, I wonder if you'll be buried with me, or if the entire world will be buried with me." Before he can finish, I have to watch Yehua dive into the bright fire with my own eyes. Who is it that shouts no, so painfully? No as in no, it can't be? No, it's not needed, no, you can't? So what if the world is burned down into ashes? Then at least we have to be burned together. How can you leave me behind? When Yehua leaped into the fire, the spell locking my limbs suddenly unravels. That's right, if the master's life energy dissipates, naturally the spell can no longer hold me in. The red beam shines brightly then goes off. A black figure from the top of the bell falls over. I rush over to catch him. We stumble and fall onto the ground. His face white, blood spills from the corner of his mouth. His eyes glaze over in one dark color. His black robe is soaked all over, but I can't actually see the blood that is now covering his entire body. Jian once said, "I always thought it strange that Yehua keeps wearing all black outfits." I asked him once over drinks and he jokingly told me although it's not a pretty color, it's a rather useful one. For example, if someone were to strike him with a sword, you won't be able to tell that blood is spilling out. You'll only think his clothes are wet from spilled water or something. Your allies won't be worried and your enemies won't be satisfied for having strike you. When Jian told me this story, I was amused that Yehua finally learned how to joke. But I only find out today that he was actually serious. I can't forgive him for unfairly taking away my eyes, forcing me to jump down Zuxian Tai. Nor can I forgive him for saying he loves me now only because he feels bad about what he did to me in the past. Most of all, I can't forgive him for failing to understand me throughout all this time. In the end, I was the selfish person who refuses to be understanding. I loved him twice, in this lifetime and last. I met him and I meet him again, the one person I have deep affections for, and yet I never really knew him either. Like why he only wears black garments. It's not because he likes the color. Nor is it because he wants to appear strong in front of other people. I somehow completely forgot that he's the type to swallow back his tears. 70,000 years ago Moiwan coughed out so much more blood than the drops spilling from Yehua's mouth corner right now. He doesn't have nearly the amount of energy Moiwan had that year. Where did all the blood go? I lower my head and bite into his lip. I ignore him and use my tongue to pry his teeth open, trying to snake into his mouth. I feel a mist of warm liquid between where our mouths meet. His inky eyes becomes even more bottomless. He pushes me away and coughs frantically. Clumps of blood spill out like blooming flowers. He rolls over on the ground, his chest heaves heavily, his body immobile. I rush over to his side and take him back into my embrace. Do you want to swallow them all back? I don't care how old you are, showing a little weakness won't disappoint me. He tries so hard just to suppress his coughs. He can't even raise his hand yet he still puts on a nonchalant act. I'm okay. This tiny wound won't kill me. Don't cry. My hands are occupied with holding him close, so I have no way of reaching up to his face. I look straight into his eyes and say, only Moiwan can control the Donghuang bell without obliterating his soul. And even then, he was put into a deep sleep for 70,000 years. Don't try to deceive me. You were trying to kill yourself, weren't you? His body goes stiff. He closes his eyes to say, I heard that Moiwan is awake. He'll take care of you if you stay by his side. He'll be better for you. You should just forget me. I look at him, stunned. That short moment feels like an eternity. His eyes dilate as he tells me through his rapid breathing, those are the words I cannot say even if I die. I've only ever loved you, Qian. Don't you ever forget me. If you forget me, if you ever forget me, his voice lowers drastically, then at last picks up again, what can I actually do? I lower myself to his ear, you can't die. Yehua, hang on. I'll take you to Moiwan. He'll have a way. His body gradually grows limp. I yell into his ears, if you dare die on me, I'll take the potion from Jian and forget all about you. I'll be happy with Moiwan, Jian, and fourth brother. I'll never think about you again. His body quivers. After a long time, he smiles and says, perhaps that's better. In his last moments in this world, he leaves me with one measly line, perhaps that's better. End of chapter 22.